We were so far talking about teaching and lots of issues related to teaching and some amount of learning. And now we are moving straight away into learning. How do we learn? How does one human learn? For this, there are different ways of interpretation. Some years ago, by some years ago, I mean almost from, say, 200 years ago or 100 years ago, 150, many people thought that learning is a very automatic process. Automatic, you do something and repeat it 100 times and you have automatically learned it, which is true in some of those things. How do we know this? Remember, remember your mother or your father or your grandfather telling them, not you, but your parents and so on and so forth, telling them, write it, imposition, write it 10 times, 15 times, 20 times. The idea being that if you write it so many times, you have automatically learned it. So this was the concept, learning related to repetition, practice, and so on and so forth. And that was the belief many years ago. But what happened was that somewhere around 1950, a group of psychologists observed children who were learning again. And they said that, look, you say that if the same teacher goes to the same class for the same duration of time, and all children listen to the same thing from the same. ವಂದನಾ ಮ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಿ. ಗುಡ್, ವೆರಿ ಗುಡ್. ಓಕೆ, ಕಾಣಿಸ್ಬಿಡ್ತು, ಹುಷಾರ್. ಓಕೆ ಮಾ. If the same teacher teaches the same class for the same duration of time, in other words, it's the same source, then all learners, according to that theory, should have learned equally well. So, after these sessions, just a minute. When a test was given to the children, it was found out that there is no uniformity in learning. Some had learned very well, some had learned nothing, and a majority knew somewhere 40, 60, 50, 50, 35, 75 kind of thing. So it was not uniform learning. Then they started investigating. They said, what is this? How does learning take place? Then one important outcome of this research, and I'm going to cut short all the other things and straight away go to this topic, which is, they said human beings, like all animals and birds also, human beings also have a mind, a brain. And a brain or a mind has a very complex function in the humans. And they called it cognition. So one of the very important discoveries which differentiated between humans and non-humans, animals, birds, fish, this and that, was the presence of a highly developed cognition in the human brain. You have heard of the word cognition. You must have heard of it. We use the word recognition, which is recognition. That means something which was already there in our cognition has been redone. And that's a recognition. I recognize, recognize. So cognition. Now, cognition is Cognition is essentially something which is there in our brain. We know that. But if you cut open the skull and search for where is cognition in the brain, it's not there. Okay. Jagdish, 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 yeah.
Yes, sir.
All of you mute it, please. Yeah, please mute. Thank you very much. All of you, please do. Listen very carefully. I was saying that if you cut open the skull and look for the brain and see where is cognition, it's not there in one place. It's spread all over. Now, what is cognition? It's a word, no doubt, but what is it? What is it? But cognition, remember, is related to memory. I'm going to use a few words which I want you to know. Memory, storage, information storage, cognition can recall information from the storage. It can organize information. That's how we know that we use specific words, for example, in the kitchen. What you use in the kitchen, you don't use it in the Vice Chancellor's meeting. No, that is different. And that is very different when you are on a picnic. You don't use those words there. So the picnic words are different. In other words, cognition can store, organize, classify. So the moment I say something like rhinoceros, you can immediately say, oh, rhinoceros, okay, it's an animal. Yeah, I can either find it in Assam or I can find it in a zoo. So you see, it has already classified a rhinoceros as an animal. So the moment I say Nilgiris, then you will ask me, what are you talking about, Nilgiris? Place, tree. You see, I already have classified Nilgiris. Oil. So I have already classified Nilgiris into a place or an oil or whatever it is. So cognition can do many functions. It can store information. It can organize information. It can classify information. It can recall. Information will mean words, sentences, events, relationships, all kinds of things, including what we do in our class, how we dress, dressing, or taking a bath, or preparing coffee or something like that in the kitchen, or driving a car or a scooter, two-wheeler. All this is information, and all this information is stored in the cognition. And therefore, you see, human, and I'm going to use a difficult word now, the human cognitive system is very complex. Why is it complex? Because cognition deals with complex factors, many factors, all at the same time. And because of that quality, human cognition is extremely complex. Two things you have to remember. One, all human beings all over the world possess cognition, without exception. All human beings. We are not talking of birds and animals, as I told you. We are not interested in that. We are interested in humans. All human beings, unless there is a damage to the brain at the time of birth or some other problem, all normal human beings come with cognition. Cognition, as we said, has a storage, etc., 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 etc. My storage is different from yours, all others. All of us have storage, all of us have cognition, but our capacity, our nature, quality, quantity, etc., etc., etc. They differ from individual to individual. Therefore, we say that there are individual differences. My thinking, whether it is manner of thinking, way of thinking, or thinking capacity, or whatever, is not the same as that of others. Each one of us is unique and different. And so we have cognitive differences amongst us. Each of us is different from the other person, cognitively speaking. We are all different. Why is it important to know this? When we go to our classroom, whatever subjects you are teaching, the first thing you should know is our classroom consists of live human beings, not robo. They're not robo. They're live human beings. And if they are live human beings, they will be different from one another cognitively. They're all different, which means that I cannot assume that when I teach, when I've taught something, all that I have talked about, all that I have taught in my teaching will be learned just like that by everybody. Learning differs from individual to individual. Why? Because of their cognitive structure. Their cognitive structures are different. Hence, their learning strategies. I'm using slightly difficult words. You should know this. Make a note of this. Learning strategies, learning styles, storage, ability to recall, and many other things like this will be different from one person to another. And so in my class, therefore, because there are learning differences, when I teach, this is a very important professional point, remember, when I teach, I may have to repeat the same thing over and over again. I may have to explain over and over again. I may have to give it in mother tongue, L1, L2, whatever it is. I may have to do many things once again. And still there may be some who may not have learned completely. In other words, there can be learning problems, learning issues, learning difficulties because of the individual's cognition or cognitive capacity. And therefore, ladies and gentlemen, to conclude what I'm saying, all of you must remember that although everybody is the same, everybody is not the same. They appear to be the same, but they are not the same. And one of those features, apart from other bodily features or genetic features, apart from all these features, one of those features which makes everything different from one individual to another individual is the cognitive features. And so, what we should know is that cognition is a very important concept for us to understand. And if we understand it, then life becomes good, comfortable. The moment you understand that, yeah, okay, you're different. Yeah, your thinking is different. My thinking is different. Yeah, I understand. Yeah. And how is it different? Why is it different? How did it become different? As I told you, thanks to their previous knowledge, thanks to their previous experience, what they have experienced. For example, if I tell you, oh, last night it snowed very heavily. Morning, I found it very difficult even to open my door. It snowed. How many have experienced snowfall in this group? Anybody? Anyone who has experienced snowfall? You see, if I have not experienced snowfall, then I don't have previous knowledge. If I don't have previous knowledge, then you see, I don't have it in my cognition. It is not stored in my cognition. Supposing I make a statement like, oh, I like momos very well. I like momos very good. Very good. Momos are excellent. Now, how many of us understand what momos are? Is it a shirt or is it a model of a car? We don't know. If you don't know, that means it is not there in my cognition. That's not stored in my cognition. It is not part of my storage. Nothing wrong, sir. Ma'am, don't worry. All of us cannot have all the knowledge in the world. No, not at all. If I say something, wow, what is there in no four-wheeler driving? Plane. I can just sit in it and then press a few buttons and it will fly off. Yeah, it can fly off eternally. See, a pilot has a different cognition, cognitive experiences. An auto rickshaw driver has a different cognitive experiences. Just now the gas has come. So somebody who fills in gas in the cylinder, a carpenter, a builder like this, building like this, and so on. Or somebody who manufactures a flask like this, or somebody who makes medicines. Each person has his or her set of cognitive knowledge. This we must recognize. And therefore, when you go to the classes, there are bound to be individual differences. Bound to be there. Accept it and react to it. There can be cognitive differences in the sense that somebody quickly catches what you say and somebody takes time. I can't understand what he is saying. अरे भाई क्या बोल रहे हो भाई पता नहीं समझ गया तुमने हाँ समझ गया था no problem अरे how did you understand how is it I didn't understand that is what we call cognitive capacity and so on and so forth and therefore you see cognition gives us tremendous knowledge about everything around us. Did you understand? Any comments now? Is cognition important? Have you understood what I said so far? Anybody? Anybody can speak? Speak.
Yes, sir. Very important.
Yes, Kriti. Yeah. Tell me.
Sir, actually, when we understand these concepts as teachers, that one person, although we know it already, but then now when we are reinforcing this information, that cognition is for different people it may be different. Then it becomes easier for us to understand. And in our university, there is mentor-mentee sessions also, one-on-one student interaction sessions. So in that session also, then we can understand their issues. So we
Absolutely.
can understand the learner more comprehensively, and then we can,
Respond.
deal with
Okay.
it. Yeah.
Good. Very good. Very good. Very nice. Good. Nice. Well said. Well said. Yeah. Anybody else?
So as you said,
Hmm.
and whenever you tend to interact, that's the way we'll come to know how the what is the cognitive capacity. Because unless and until learners interact with us, we don't come to know what is their prior knowledge or what is their exposure to. So cognitive,
Very important.
what we learn about it.
Absolutely. And so important for you also, you see, that knowledge. When you interact and when you get to know, then you see, you are able to suggest alternates or whatever it is. Yeah, as we do at home. We ask the child, Acha, climb on this chair. The child says, no, no, I can't, and tries and falls. And so then we put the child, lift the child up and put it up there. You see? So a child is trying and so on and so forth. Good, very good. Yes, very important. Good. Anybody else? Good, ma'am. Good, Bindu.
Hello, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Experience is most important in learning process. अगर experience ज्यादा होता है, जैसे previous experience होता है, उसी के according learning ज्यादा मायने रखता है.
Very correct. Very correct. Hanji. Experience is very important. Life experience. ऐसा बोलिए. Life experience बहुत अच्छा, बहुत important होते हैं. क्योंकि लाइफ एक्सपीरियंस से हम बहुत कुछ सीखते हैं, है ना? उसको इस्तेमाल करते हैं कभी भी हो, जब भी चाहिए. So life experiences are very important, and that's what that plays a very important. So the cognition becomes most important. Therefore, you see, good, very good. Anybody else? Good, good. Anyone else? Any other comments? Any other observation?
Sir.
Good, Ravi. Talk.
These learning styles are different, sir. These learning styles are different based on the cognitive reasons. Is it possible to calculate these differences based upon, based upon the percentage? Due to the cognitive reasons, the percentage, how much the cognitive affects the learning styles, learning strategies, is it possible to calculate like that?
It is possible. I mean, like your concept is very good. It is possible, no doubt. You see, for example, let us say your father or your mother wanted you to learn something. Let's say your father wanted you to learn cycling. Now, how did that teaching go on? Multiple exposure, repeated practice, telling you the small little details, giving instructions, asking you to follow this in the procedure, etc., etc. So it is possible that once you want to change the strategy, for example, if you're a teacher of mathematics, for example, you would like to use a different formula, for example, or if you want to change present tense to past tense. You see, these are all cognitive activities of the mind. How do I think of the past and how do I represent it in language? So it is possible. The strategies, no, this is part of our teaching. What are we, after all, what is learning, what is teaching? It is helping learners cope with new information. How to cope with new information. How to get new information. How to store it. How to organize it. How to recall. You see, only when I'm able to recall and use information correctly, and somebody tells me, yes, that's correct. What you said is correct, and the way you have said it also correct. That confirms my learning, confirms my storage, my organization. So that is established in my cognition. Okay. So and so said that this is good, this is correct, this is okay. So I'm going to follow it. Oh, okay, fine. You see, that's how it is. So, yes, basically, all our teaching is related to helping learners cope with learning. And therefore, teaching and learning are always closely related to one another. And both these are cognition, part of cognition. So, cognition is something that all of you should be aware of. I hope you have understood it well. If anybody is still not very clear, you can ask. Ravi, are you clear now?
Yes, sir.
Good, very good. Anybody else who wants to say something?
So one more question, sir.
Ask.
Sir, how far the genetics influence the cognitive of an individual person, sir?
Yeah, yeah. You see, if you look at our culture, your father, grandfather, so on and so forth, it's just your culture, for example, in your home. Supposing you live in a place where there is agriculture and there is rainfall. Now, in fact, if you think about it very carefully, you may have at least 20 different words for the rainfall. Heavy rain, light rain, marginal rain, this rain, that rain, ಭಯಂಕರ ಮಳೆ, ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಲ್ಪ ಮಳೆ ಅಷ್ಟೆ. See, we have so many words to describe that type of rain. Why? Because we live in that area where describing rain is very important. Supposing you live, let's say, with Eskimos. I'm told, I don't know, I'm told that Eskimos have 31 different words for snow. Now, a child who grows there will pick up all those words and so on. That child, so there's a big difference between us. And in this process, there are many things that I have also learned genetically. For example, I have learned storage capacity. I have learned which words to store and which are important, which are not very important. I'll be genetically inclined to do that simply because of some necessity somewhere. So you see, there are all these various factors which are also genetically informed. But mind you, there can be many more factors. For example, if I have a voice like this, I speak like this and so on. My father also speaks like this, my grandfather also spoke like this. Now, this is a genetic factor. You can't help it. I don't have any hair, for example. This is a genetic factor. So I tell my children, be careful. Today you may have tomorrow. But which means that genetic factors also influence several of their bodily functions, including cognition, memory, recall, the manner of speaking, tone of voice, quality of speaking, choice of words, intonation in my voice. All these are genetically controlled, very much. And much later, environment also plays a factor. And so if you, for example, travel to Japan and you're hardly 21-year-old, and now you're 54 years old and you've been there for 32 years, for example, in Japan, you have picked up Japanese and Japanese culture and so on, but you have very much modified your genetic factors. But certain things still remain. So cognition also is influenced by genetic factors.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Welcome. Welcome. Anybody else?
Sir, can change genetic factors through environment, sir?
Difficult, very difficult. They say, the scientists say that many of these genetic factors, see, there is a natural process of changing and there is a medical process of changing, for example. So I don't know much about it. I can't really comment on that. Maybe yes, maybe possible, but I'm sorry, I don't have much information on that, so I can't really comment on that.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Welcome. Yeah. Good. So having talked about cognition, which I think many of you have interpreted it, understood it in your own ways, and so on. I'm now taking you to something which is related to cognition, and which is what we call metacognition. Many of you have heard of metacognition. Have you? Metacognitive features. Meta, like metaphysics and so on, goes beyond cognition. It's much more beyond cognition. We'll give some very simple examples. You know, for example, Mahantesh, Akriti, or Seema, you want to ask a question. Now, when you want to ask a question, asking a question is an activity of the cognition. But there is a way of asking the question, manner of asking a question, choice of words, putting together the question and asking it in a certain tone of voice, which depends on who you are talking to, what, relevance, okay, appropriate, blah, 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 all these extra knowledge. You won't ask a question, hey, Rajagopal, what are you saying, man? Is genetic? You don't ask like that. Because of certain rules of functioning. And you have used these rules and carefully organized your language and made sure that it goes out in a certain manner. And it has to have certain norms and things like that. Now, where do we get these rules, norms, ways of doing things? And that is given by what is called metacognition, knowledge beyond cognition, knowledge about cognition. I know so much, and I also know much more of how to use my knowledge. So, metacognition is knowledge about knowledge. जो हम जानते हैं उसके बारे में जो जानकारी अपने पास होते हैं, जैसे जो हम जानते हैं उसको कैसे इस्तेमाल करना है, वो नॉलेज जो होते हैं, वो ज्ञान जो होते हैं, जिसने हमको बताते हैं कि आपने ऐसा बात करना है, ऐसे ही बोलना है, वो नॉलेज को हम कहते हैं मेटाकॉग्निशन. Now, is metacognition important? It's very important. For example, if you're sitting in the staff room and you're talking to your good friend, good old friend, you know him for say 14 years, the way you talk to him, as opposed to your head of the department who is sitting there, is different. And suddenly if the if the principal of the college comes in, walks in, or you have to go and meet the principal, your language will be different. So how does cognition reorganize all its information, put it across in a certain manner and so on? You don't go to the principal and say, hey, principal, hey. No, you don't. You have a certain body language, certain expression, face, volume, voice, intonation, words. All this is given by metacognition. So metacognition tells us how to use language. Is this important? It's very important for teachers. Remember, cognition, you know. Metacognition also you should know. Because metacognition is heavily dependent on culture. Samskriti. Culture comes from one's background. Samskara. That background in which somebody has grown up has created this kind of a person. So, my dear teachers, if somebody comes to you and does not talk to you in a very polite manner, but the person is not harmful, is not going to hit you, beat you, nothing of this sort. No, but the quality of talk is very different. Please don't get worried. Don't get angry. Don't get disturbed at all. Because that is his or her metacognition working there. His or her metacognition organizes information, organizes talk, thinking, etc. in a certain manner. That's all. And once you understand that, oh, this is an individual characteristic feature where the person's metacognition has organized itself in this manner. And when you reply in a certain manner, and that fellow says, sorry, sir, I spoke like that. No, but I don't know, actually, I come from, therefore you see, and so on, you see, that's when the metacognition starts working. And therefore, my dear teachers, one concept which you should know, in addition to all the others that we have talked so far, is metacognition. Cognition, beyond cognition, metacognition. Knowledge, and knowledge about my knowledge. What do I know? How do I know? How do I organize? How do I deliver? I'll use a slightly difficult word now. How do I articulate? How do I say what I want to say? And have I said it well, correctly, rightly, wrongly? Was it proper, improper? All these things are part of metacognition. You know what is happening in Mysore just now? It is raining outside. Raining beautifully, and you know what? I'm getting the beautiful smell from the soil, lawns. You know what it is known as? Cognition, storage. You know that word? Yes or no? The smell of the soil when it rains the first time, and when it rains the first time, you get a certain smell from the earth, Mother Earth. And that word is what is called petrichor. 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 A petrichor is the word which describes. So I am getting premature right now. Was it there in your storage? Cognition? Previous knowledge? You see? If yes, good. If no, nothing to worry. It wasn't there, that's all. You know? So the moment I say tube, there's a what tube? No, London tube. Oh, London tube. Oh, London tube. Tube, I know. Test tube and this and that. But London tube. No, I don't know. London tube. No, underground. Oh, metro. Oh, yeah. Oh, so you know metro. No, we call tube, London tube. Oh, I see. It's not there in my cognition. You know the difference between an alligator and a crocodile? Alligator? Yeah, I have heard alligator. Is there a difference? Yeah. There's a bit difference. Long, you can see the teeth. No, that's a crocodile. An alligator? No. Oh, it's not there in my cognition. Not in my memory, not in my previous knowledge, not at all stored in my knowledge. Therefore, nothing to feel ashamed about it, or nothing to feel terribly proud about it. I know so much. Nahin. Chhod do yaar. You know because of your exposure, your background knowledge, your previous knowledge, maybe your genetic factors also, like Mahantesh asked. Could be anything, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. If I don't know, I don't know. I don't know. As simple as that. Question now, is this important for a teacher like you? You're teaching so many subjects. Is this sort of knowledge about cognition and metacognition, is this important for you? Anybody? Talk. You won't get a chance to talk in the following sessions. Let me tell you. So it will be lecture. So on. So I'm giving you a chance to speak. So use it. Speak. Cognition, metacognition. You might have known about it before, but is this important for a teacher?
Yes,
Sir, I have a doubt.
Yes, ma'am. Talk.
Can you test the cognitive capacity of students? Is there any method to test apart from interactions?
Yeah, yes, there are. There are many tests. One of them is what is known as IQ test. But you must remember that many people think that IQ, for example, is an overall personality score. It tells everything about the person, which is very wrong. IQ test tests specific skills and ability. A person's IQ in basketball could be very high, whereas a person's IQ in chemistry could be very low. A person's capacity to recall phone numbers, the IQ in intelligence quotient, it's a quotient number. A quotient is a number. So in recalling telephone numbers, your IQ may be very high. You may be able to recall it. So my IQ may be very low. But when they say, oh, his IQ is 132. His IQ is 196. You have to immediately ask, in what? IQ in what? In what is it 132? Your mother's IQ in the kitchen may be 160. Whereas your father's IQ in the kitchen may be 84. You know? So you can't say that my mother's is 162. No, my father's is only 84. No. You have to ask. So there are measures like IQ and many others which talk of the cognitive capacity, but they are all related to either specific abilities, or if you have planned a test for a general ability. If I'm doing something for general English, then it is all right. That's a different type of cognitive test. But if I'm choosing debate, persons for debate or elocution or singing, I use different criteria. That is a different set of cognitive issues. And therefore, there are very many ways of testing cognition, establishing the cognitive capacity. If you want to hold, for example, if you want to send somebody somewhere for some youth festival and so on, you won't send anybody, whole class to there. No, you will choose. And how do you choose? The criterion you use is actually related to the cognitive capacities of the child, whether the person or the individual possesses these or not. So, like that, you want to go to a shop and you want to say, let us say you want a kanchi silk sari. And the fellow is showing all kinds of things. He says, no. I want kanchi silk sari. So you see, you have already made it very specific and so on. Cognitively, your mind has focused on kanchi silk. No other, not Mysore silk, not Jaipuri silk. No, none of those things. Kanchi silk. So, in real life, as well as in academics, we use lots of such cognitive tests. Consciously, unconsciously. That's how it is. Good. Anybody else? Good question, Ramya.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. Now, we have so far. Pallavi, you want to say something?
No, sir. Sir. So can I speak in Kannada?
Yeah, you can speak in Kannada.
Sir. Sir, ಈಗ ಮೆಟಾಕಾಗ್ನಿಷಿಯಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಈಚ್ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಕಲ್ಚರ್ ಸಂಸ್ಕಾರಗಳು ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ನಾವು ಒಂದೇ ರೀತಿ ಪಾಠವನ್ನ ಮಾಡುವಾಗ ಅವರ ಕಲ್ಚರ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಸಂಸ್ಕಾರಗಳನ್ನ ಪರಿಗಣಿಸ್ಬೇಕಾ ಬೇಡ ಸರ್?
ಬೇಕಮ್ಮ. ನೋಡಿಮ್ಮ, ನೀವು ಟೀಚರ್, ನಿಮಗೆ ಎರಡು ತರಹ ಆಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಒಂದು, ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೀರೋ ಅದನ್ನ ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ದಡ ಮುಟ್ಟಿಸೋದು, ಆ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಕೊಡೋದು ಬಹಳ ಮುಖ್ಯವಾದ ಆಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟಿವ್. ಹೇಗೆ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಿ ಇದನ್ನ? ಹೇಗೆ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಿ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ನಿಮ್ಮದೇ ಆದ ಒಂದು ಮೆಥಡಾಲಜಿ ನೀವು ರೂಪಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ತೀರಿ. ಅದರೊಳಗೆ ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ನೀವು ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ಸ್ ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಅನ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, ಅವ್ರ ಮನಸ್ಸಿಗೆ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗೋ ಹಂಗೆ. ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ಸ್ ಕೊಡ್ತೀರಿ? ಪ್ರಾಬಬ್ಲಿ ಆ ಮಗುಗೆ ಏನ್ ತಿಳುವಳಿಕೆ ಇದೆ, ಏನು ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ, ಯಾವುದು ಹೇಗೆ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಮುಖ್ಯವಾದ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ಸ್ ನ ಕೊಡ್ತೀರಿ. ನೀವೇನ್ ಹೆಸಿಟೇಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಟೈಮ್ನಲ್ಲಿ, ಹಿಂದೇಟ್ ಹಾಕೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೇ ನಡೀತಿರ್ಲಿ, ಈ ಮಗುಗೆ ಅದು ಖಂಡಿತವಾಗ್ಲೂ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದಾದ್ರೆ ನೀವು ನಿಮ್ದೇ ಆದ ಸ್ಟ್ರಾಟಜೀಸ್ ಉಪಯೋಗಿಸ್ತೀರಿ. ಅಡಿಗೆ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಊಟ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ರುಚಿ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಬೇರೆ ಏನ್ ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೂ ಇರ್ಬೋದು. ನೀವು ಅದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಉಪಯೋಗಿಸಿದಾಗ ಖಂಡಿತವಾಗ್ಲೂ ನೀವು ಕಲ್ಚರ್ನ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ತರ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಿ. ಯಾಕೆ ಹಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರಿ? ಯಾಕೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅದೊಂದು ಉಪಯೋಗಿಸಿದ್ರಿಂದನೇ ಮಗುಗೆ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತು. ಆಮೇಲೆ ನೀವು ಕೇಳ್ತೀರಿ, ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಾ ಈಗ? ಓಕೆ, ನೌ ಲೆಟ್ ಅಸ್ ಗೆಟ್ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ಟು ದಿ ಮೇನ್ ಡಿಸ್ಕಷನ್. ನಾನು ಏನ್ ಹೇಳಿದೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಯ್ತಾ ನಿನ್ಗೆ? ಮಗು ಹೇಳಿದೆ, ಹಾ ಟೀಚರ್, ಗೊತ್ತಾಯ್ತು. ನೀನೊಂದು ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಕೊಡ್ತೀಯಾ? ನಾಳೆ ಕೊಡು. ಇವತ್ತು ಮನೆಗೆ ಹೋಗಿ ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅಪ್ಪ ಅಮ್ಮ ಜೊತೆ ಮಾತಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಕಮ್ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ಟುಮಾರೋ ಅಂಡ್ ಗಿವ್ ಮಿ ಒನ್ ನ್ಯೂ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್. ನಾನು ನಿಂಗೆ ಒಂದು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀನಿ, ನೀನು. ಸೊ ವೆನ್ ಹಿ ಕಮ್ಸ್ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ಆರ್ ಶಿ ಕಮ್ಸ್ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಗಿವ್ಸ್ ಯು ಒನ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟಾಗ ನಿಮಗೆ ಓಕೆ, ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಹಾಗೆ ಹೀಗೆ. ಸೊ ಕಲ್ಚರ್ ಬಹಳ ಮುಖ್ಯ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನೀವು ಕೇಳಿದ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಏನು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ, ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ವೆರಿ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್. ಈಗ ನಾನು ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ನಲ್ಲೇ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ, ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಎಲ್ರಿಗೂ ಇದು ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್. The question that Pallavi asked is related to whether we can bring in culture in the classroom. You said yes. Good. When you give examples, you can certainly do that. But the point here is that as a teacher, I appreciate Pallavi and
Thank
her
you, sir.
question and your question, because just imagine how much knowledge and information a teacher should have. You know, ladies and gentlemen, when you go to your college and when you teach your subject, it's not just your subject that you should know. You should also know about your learners, the local place, its ambience, its culture, its atmosphere, festivals, temples, mosque, what is there, the kind of people who are there and so on. You should know, should have all this information in you. No? Therefore, Pallavi, ಉತ್ತರ ಅದನ್ನ ಉದಾಹರಣೆ ಕೊಡೋದೇನು ಸುಲಭ ಅಲ್ಲ.
ಹೌದು ಸರ್.
ನಿಮಗೂ ತಿಳಿದಿರಬೇಕು, ನಿಮಗೂ ತಿಳುವಳಿಕೆ ಇರಬೇಕು ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ. The teacher also should know. And when you know, see, yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Welcome. Good. Anybody else wants to talk? You can talk. Good. Okay. Let's move on. We have talked about so far the triangulation. I'm talking from my notes. Teacher, trained and untrained teacher. We talked about teacher issues, teaching issues, learner issues, and learning issues. Then we talked about L1 and L2. And then we came down to a very important discussion on cognition and metacognition. I hope all these are clear to you so far. Anything is not clear, you can ask. I'm moving one step further. I'm moving into teaching in the classroom. And here, I want to introduce you to a concept, in teaching. Teaching also has its own theories and practices. It has also many concepts. And I'll introduce you to one very important concept, which is not very old. It may be about 25 years old or 30 years old, but a very important concept. And this is a teacher goes to the classroom. Oh, why teacher? You, all of us, you and I, all of us. We go to the classroom, teach, bell, come out. Come back to the staff room. Now, one of the techniques which is very current today in the world, in all fields, including your fields, where whatever subject you are teaching and so on, is when I come back to the staff room, I open my lecture notes and I'm now going to use the big word. I reflect. That is, I think about what I did in the classroom. ನಾನು ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ರೂಮ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಮಾಡಿದೆ ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಾನು ಮಾಡಿದ ನಂತರ ಸ್ಟಾಫ್ ರೂಮ್ ಬಂದಾಗ ಆಲೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಏನು ಮಾಡಿದೆ? ಹೀಗೆ ಮಾಡಿದೆ. I did like this. How many can I say understood whatever I did? Now, how did they understand? ಕೆಲವ್ರಿಗೆ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತು. ಹೇಗೆ ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡವ್ರುಗಳು? Some people didn't understand at all. Why did they not understand? I explained so many things, so many examples. I used the board, I do this and PPT, this and that. But how did they not understand it? So I reflect. And this is called reflection. And the technical word which I want all of you to know is what we call reflective teaching. Reflective teaching. Reflective, TIV, teaching. Reflective teaching andre ಆಲೋಚನಾಯುಕ್ತ ಪಾಠ ಮಾಡುವಿಕೆ. ಪಲ್ಲವಿ ಗೊತ್ತಾಯ್ತಾ? ಗೊತ್ತಾಯ್ತಾ? ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಾ?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Good, very good. Bhala important ಇದು. So, reflective teaching is thinking about teaching. जो काम हमने किया, मैंने किया क्लास में, उसके बारे में सोचना, सोच के अगले क्लास में जाना. If I do this reflection, reflect on what I did just now, mulling about it, culling about it, thinking about it, and tomorrow I go to the classroom, so I have done a lot of thinking and I may have reorganized my lesson plan, my strategies of teaching, my examples, my eye contact. I may have reorganized many things, my voice. One of the things is people sitting at the back, they were just looking, listening to me like this. So at the end of it all, I could say that they didn't understand. So is it my voice that I didn't speak loud enough? So tomorrow, no, I should speak louder, and so on and so forth. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to present this very important concept called reflective teaching. And I want all of you to think about this. And it will be good if you can do it. You know, when you teach also. इसके बारे में अगर आप सोचते हैं और अगर आप इसको इम्प्लीमेंट करते हैं, इस्तेमाल करते हैं, अगले आपका टीचिंग बहुत अच्छी होंगी. ಆಲೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡಿ, ಯಾವಾಗ ನೀವು ಈಚೆ ಬಂದು ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಆಲೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡಿ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಹೋಗಿ, ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಹೀಗೆ ಮಾಡಿದೆ, ಅದು ಮಾಡಬಾರ್ದಾಗಿತ್ತು, ಹೀಗೆ ಮಾಡಿದೆ, ಹೀಗೆ ಮಾಡೋದು ವಾಸಿ, ಇದೇ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ರಿಫ್ಲೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಟೀಚಿಂಗ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. And if you do this, keep this in mind. It will help you a lot about it. Anybody wants to say anything about reflective teaching? Is it a useful technique? Anybody wants to say something about it? Anybody? Any comments?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
It's the teaching is more effective on students learning, sir. Our students learning.
Yes.
More we can consider as an inclusivity.
Yeah. Okay.
That's a part of an. So I think it's a part of an reflective teaching.
You see,
how we can effectively we can teach, and
see,
how it can be transferred. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let us say, for example, you have done some plan for your teaching tomorrow. Now you do the teaching. You have done it. Now, if you come back after teaching and sit down, and whether you talk to your colleagues or you will sit by yourself and you will do your own thinking and so on and so forth, and then you sort of analyze every step, what you did, every important thing that you did and so on and so forth, you may say that, okay, whatever I did today was okay, so I don't need to change. Or you may say, no, I think something, okay. So you would like to change it. So whatever it is, instead of finishing the class and then say that class is finished, instead of saying, if you adopt reflective teaching, reflective approaches, then that will help you. That's a suggestion that you can say.
Thank you.
Very nice. Anybody else? Anyone else who wants to comment?
Sir, I think it is one of the most important aspects of effective teaching. I mean, reflective, if you are reflective, then you are try to become a better version of yourself in the class.
Yeah.
And I think that is doing justice to the students as well.
Very good. Very precisely. Very good. Very good. Now, just imagine if a department, the entire department adopts reflection. You come back to this staff room and the whole department sits together and reflects on what they have done, how they did it, and so on. No, just imagine that kind of quality of reflection. If that comes about, if that culture of reflection comes into the staff room, just imagine how beautiful it will be. You know, the entire institution will be doing a wonderful job and so on. Okay, good. That's very, very important. And therefore, I thought I should share this with you because you should know this, that such practices also exist. Good. Very good. Very good. Anybody else? Good. Now, one of the last things that I would like to discuss, not many, not many of them at all, is what we call classroom management or classroom teaching strategy. Now, when we think of this, you must remember that one of the most important components of classroom teaching strategy is teachers' planning and preparation. Teachers' planning and preparation. I'm not talking of lesson plans, as they do in schools. No. Objective, steps and stages, conclusion. No. I'm not talking of those things. But a teacher's planning and preparation is what I want to say as the most important part of one's teaching. And you know why? Because the moment you step into the class, in about 3 minutes, children can find out whether you have come prepared or not prepared at all. Our children are very clever. They know it. And the moment they discover that you have come to the class without any preparation, then they will tell each other, कर लो जो भी जो जाना चाहते हैं कर लो, करना चाहते हैं कर लो, no problem. Anyway, the guy is not prepared. So your value will be low like that. It will go down like that. My dear teachers, never go to the class unprepared. Most important. Even if you know the subject, I must have done this talk, I don't know, 25 times. But still I come prepared. And still I make my marks and so on in my notes. And I still refer to that and so on. But it's very important. This morning I sat with it, and then took a look at it and said, okay, do I know what I want to say today? And what are the things, and so on and so forth. Planning and preparation are very important. Are they important? Are planning and preparation important? Anybody? Anybody wants to say anything about what happens when you plan and what happens when you don't plan? Anybody? Anybody? Evening time before you go home? Anybody wants to say something?
So planning would make us more confident.
Yes.
Going unplanned could give us some embarrassment.
Good. Very important. Planning helps you in not just teaching what you want to teach, achieving the objectives of what you want to teach and what they want, what you want them to learn. But one of the very important parts of planning is what is known as time management. When you plan, and let me tell you this from my own experience, when you plan, your plan tells you to do this for this much of time. with this much of explanation, examples, and so on and so forth. So on. And then move on to the next one. And spend more time on this. This is most important, and this is something they should know even from the point of examination. So focus on that and spend a little more time on that. But how much time you want to spend, you will mark there, not more than 11 minutes. You know, time management is something which is very important. Number 3, apart from preparation and so on and so forth, and time management, number 3 is class management. I don't know if you're aware of these things. So this is going to come from 2026 onwards in the entire national curriculum when NEP is implemented. If NEP is implemented, I'm part of that also. We say that learner participation is most important in our classes, more than teacher participation. Why? NEP is very clear, and we are all very clear about this, simply because our classroom does 2 things. One, it gives knowledge, no doubt. At the same time, our classroom also gives them skills. These are 2 different words, but both equally related and so on. Knowledge, of course, the teacher provides a lot of knowledge, a lot of information to all the children and so on. And so this is there. This is what we call content. Don't say content, content. Content. Knowledge of the subject matter, of course, we give to our children. But we also give certain skills. Skill, and what is a skill? The ability to do something and do it well. What is a skill? The definition of a skill is the ability, developing the ability to do something and do it well. Now, I will tell you something very critical, very important. What happens in the classroom when we teach, when we go there and teach, is not just transfer of information. No. The learners are learning not just the subject matter, but they are also learning how to learn that subject matter. I'll repeat. What does teaching mean? Teaching means help the learner learn not just the subject matter, but also learn how to understand the subject matter, how to get a knowledge of the subject matter, learn how to learn whatever was taught, but also learn additional information. How to. And that is teaching. So my teaching, definition of teaching, is not just conveying information, telling what needs to be known, but it is also helping my learners learn how to get that information, how to acquire that information. We say that the goal of all teaching is to make the learner replace the teacher. Replace the teacher. The learner should be able to do for himself or for herself everything that the teacher used to do for them. So learning means knowing how to know. Learn how to learn. How to acquire knowledge, how to acquire information. The teacher has done so much work before coming to my class and telling me all these things. How did the teacher do it? That information which the teacher got acquired for himself or herself when he or she came to the class to make me understand, I must get that knowledge. If I do, and if I know how to get that knowledge, that means the teacher's teaching is complete.